Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of shorter term and longer term technical analysis on Bitcoin because in today's video, we're going to be discussing the ascending trading channel that Bitcoin has been in here over the last couple of weeks. And I really want to get to the bottom of how much longer Bitcoin is going to trade to the upside here. How much longer is Bitcoin going to maintain this pseudo bullishness? You guys know that I think there's a bearish move coming here over the next couple of weeks, probably within the next couple of days, maybe the next 5 to 7 days or so. So where is it? Bitcoin's been moving to the upside here for almost a month, but we really haven't seen a whole lot of price action. As I've mentioned in previous videos, Bitcoin has been moving up for a month, but it's only gained 9%. That's one of the slowest and least interesting rallies that I think I've ever seen in Bitcoin. That's an exaggeration, but only maybe. We haven't seen Bitcoin do anything that annoyingly boring for quite some time. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you a bunch of different technical indicators and doing some different technical analysis on Bitcoin to try and get to the bottom of how much longer Bitcoin is going to be moving to the upside before we finally see that break to the downside that we've been expecting here for the last couple of days. Anyway, guys, without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Bitcoin is currently trading around $4,009.02. Of course, Bitcoin had to throw its own 2 cents in there, pun very much intended. Bitcoin is currently trading just a little over $4,000, and as it relates to yesterday's video, Bitcoin has not actually moved a whole lot. In yesterday's video, of course, we recorded it right about here, and we talked about this movement that Bitcoin had to the upside, and Bitcoin had been trading just above $4,000. Bitcoin is still trading above $4,000, and we haven't seen a lot of movement. But there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about in yesterday's video and the video before that I didn't get to, which I'm going to be discussing in today's video. So it's a similar topic, but different content. Anyway, if we zoom out here and we start looking at the 4-hourly chart, then we need to go ahead and remember what we're talking about here. Bitcoin has been moving to the upside here over the last month, of course. And Bitcoin is in a very interesting position because ever since Bitcoin fell below $6,000, its volatility, its volume, retail investor interest, all these things have been rising. They've been doing very well. The fundamentals for Bitcoin have been doing very well, and the longer-term technicals as well have been doing very well. An example of that would, of course, be the volume. But as I mentioned in yesterday's video, so I'll be brief today, Bitcoin's volume has been dropping off as Bitcoin has been moving to the upside. That paired with many of the other technical indicators I'll show you in today's video are showing bearishness for Bitcoin. And I think a lot of people are starting to wonder whether or not Bitcoin is actually bearish right now for good reason. We've been talking about Bitcoin turning bearish here for the last couple of days, really about over a week or so actually. I've been talking about Bitcoin falling bearish below this uptrend of support for quite some time here, for about a week and a half now. And I never said that it was going to happen tomorrow, but I did say that it was probably going to end up happening, and I still stand by that. And a lot of people, I think, are wondering, well, if Jeb says that Bitcoin's going to fall over bearish, where is it? Bitcoin just turned bullish a couple days ago. What the heck, Jeb? Well, guys, you have to realize that sometimes markets do take time to develop, and sometimes your predictions that you make are going to take a little bit longer to develop and play out than you think they're going to. That happens quite a lot in markets. In fact, you'll predict something happening in a market, and then it won't actually happen right away, but that doesn't mean the prediction's wrong. It just means that it's mistimed. I'll give you a good example of that. In 2017, people were very, very excited about the Bitcoin bull market. Of course they were. Bitcoin rallied nearly 2,000% in the span of a year. That was a ridiculous year. 2017 was quite the year. I very much enjoyed the second half of 2017 after I jumped into the market. But during that time, people were always calling the top of the bull market. Everybody realized that the bull market was coming to a conclusion, and it probably wouldn't continue very far into 2018, if into 2018 at all. And of course it didn't. Bitcoin topped out over here at $20,000 on the 17th of December in the year of 17. Bitcoin topped out at $20,000, but people were predicting whether or not Bitcoin would rally to $20,000, whether Bitcoin would rally to $10,000, $5,000, $3,000. At the beginning of the year, people were making predictions that Bitcoin would rally to $3,000, and then a bear market would ensue. And a lot of people took that very seriously. That's one of the reasons why Bitcoin rallied all the way to $3,000, and then kind of just had this little miniature bear market. It's not a bear market, just a little downtrend here for a month and a half or so. But people thought that $3,000 was the top. It wasn't. Bitcoin rallied to $5,000. Then $5,000 is the top. And not as many people thought that $5,000 was the top forever as people thought that $3,000 was, but a lot of people did think that $5,000 was very high. From there, Bitcoin rallied all the way up to $8,000 and pulled back for all of 4 days. This is where the channel started. The very first video on the channel was, is Bitcoin overextended? I was talking about how this was not a big enough pullback and that we needed to see something other than what happened happen, or it would be very bad for Bitcoin. And of course, the rest of this channel has been documenting the bear market that followed, and Bitcoin has, of course, lost quite a lot of its valuation. But the point I'm trying to make here is that many people thought that Bitcoin was going to rally to $10,000, and that'd be it. Bitcoin would rally to $10,000, boom, bear market. Bitcoin wouldn't be able to get through $10,000. Well, guys, Sometimes the market doesn't do exactly what you think it's going to, but it does something similar. Bitcoin ran to $10,000 and it shot straight through it. Bitcoin moonshotted through $10,000. It didn't stop for coffee. Bitcoin had plenty of steam on its own. Bitcoin continued rallying all the way to $20,000, and Bitcoin really did just absolutely blow the top off the market and made a lot of people a lot of money, but unfortunately also lost a lot of people a lot of money because people weren't really ready for the fact that Bitcoin would go that far beyond the predictions that people were making. But the point I'm trying to make with that is that a lot of times markets will sometimes, sometimes, Bitcoin will sometimes, and markets in general will sometimes not do exactly what you think they will, but they'll still do something similar to what you think they will. So what I'm saying is not that I think that Bitcoin's going to fall over in the next week, but it might come in the next 2 weeks. But what I'm saying is that we think that there's going to be a bearish downtrend starting in Bitcoin, and that may happen in a week, that may happen in a week and a half, that may happen in 2 weeks. But the point is the technicals are showing that it is going to happen. It seems like it's just a matter of time. We have major levels of resistance above us. For example, the zone of resistance in between about $4,100. I'm going to go ahead and change that after this video is up. I do like this being down here just a little bit more, around $4,100 all the way up to around $4,500. That zone of resistance right there is something that I'm looking out for because Bitcoin has come up there and tested that zone over and over and over again. Bitcoin has not been able to break it. Right over here, right over here, right over there, and right over there. As I've talked about, Bitcoin has come up there and tested that zone of resistance multiple times. And I was speaking with someone in the comment section, or it may have been, I think actually it was in the premiere of yesterday's video. I was talking to them live. I forget your name, forgive me. Tell me in the comment section down below who you are if you're watching this video. But I was talking to someone about the concept of if a market tried to do something when it was more bullish, if a market tried to break a level of resistance when it was more bullish than it is now and couldn't do it then, why would it now? Let me give you an illustration of that. Let's say Bitcoin is bullish, and to give you a number, let's say Bitcoin has 100 bullish points. Bitcoin is 100 bullish, and it comes up here and it tries to break through this level of resistance, and it doesn't manage to do it. Why would you expect that Bitcoin is going to be able to break that level of resistance, the same level of resistance, when it only has 50 bullish points? Why would Bitcoin be able to get through that same level of resistance if it's not as strong as it was before, but it's testing the same level of resistance? That seems to be a very strong piece of technical analysis that you can apply to your own chart reading, and it seems to be a great way to do technical analysis on breakouts based on previous attempts at the same breakout. If Bitcoin has come up here and tested these zones of resistance in between $4,100 and $4,400 to $4,500 or so many times, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, if Bitcoin's tried to do that over and over and over again when it was more bullish, why would Bitcoin be able to do it now? Bitcoin, I don't believe anyway, based on the technicals that we've discussed, based on the market structure, based on not necessarily the fundamentals, but definitely the news right now. Why would Bitcoin be able to rally up here and break through these zones of resistance if it was not able to do so before when it was more bullish? Would you say that Bitcoin was more bullish back over here when Bitcoin rallied 25% in a week and a half? Or would you say Bitcoin is more bullish now when Bitcoin has rallied not even 10% in over a month? I'd say that Bitcoin was quite a bit more bullish back over here. And while you may say that, yes, Bitcoin was more bullish over here, but it was also more exhausted than it is now, Bitcoin certainly had a lot more momentum back over here, and it wasn't able to break these zones of resistance. So why would Bitcoin be able to break them now? Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and start diving into some more technical indicators. Of course, I've talked about a lot of them on the channel so far, but there are more that we want to discuss. There are always more technical indicators to look at. One of them is, of course, the weekly stochastic RSI. And 2 videos ago, I tried to dive into the weekly stochastic RSI and do long-term technical analysis, and then my throat just absolutely gave up on me, and I wasn't able to speak anymore. So let's go ahead and do that now. The weekly stochastic RSI is a technical indicator that I've been following quite a bit as of late. If you guys have been watching the channel, then of course you'll know that. The weekly stochastic RSI, as I've talked about, I did an entire video dedicated to this, is a very, very powerful technical indicator in Bitcoin. Every time that Bitcoin has a cross on the weekly stochastic RSI, normally you're going to see a bearish downtrend start in Bitcoin. Right over here, just follow the horizontal line right here, the vertical line, excuse me, right here. Every time you see one, there's normally a downtrend. Right over here on the 30th of July, we saw a downtrend. 7th of May, downtrend. All-time high, downtrend. Right before, downtrend. You can't barely see it, but it was right over here. There was a downtrend right there. That's when the channel was started. Right over here, downtrend, 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 downtrend. Go back through time, and you will see that every time a stochastic RSI cross happens on Bitcoin, there is a downtrend. Now, there are a few flaws with that, but those flaws don't necessarily apply to what we're talking about here, so I'm not going to dive into them. But what I do want to point out is that Bitcoin not necessarily has had a stochastic RSI cross, but both of the stochastic RSI lines are sitting up here at 100 exactly, which means that if Bitcoin so much as closes a red candlestick with negative $1, if Bitcoin closes a candlestick with $1 in the red, this is going to cause a stochastic RSI cross, and that's going to be a signal that will more than likely drive Bitcoin to the downside. Not only that, but Bitcoin, I'm going to move on to another chart here for a little clarity. Bitcoin has been moving to the upside quite substantially here over the last couple of weeks. And even though Bitcoin's been moving to the upside quite substantially, the volume has not been matching that. Bitcoin's volume has been going down across many different exchanges. I had someone ask me, well, Jeb, you're looking at the Coinbase exchange. What about the other exchanges? It just so happens that most other exchanges are also seeing declining volume on Bitcoin if you look at the volume chart as I'm doing here. And also, depending on what chart you're looking at, by the way, there has already been a cross on the stochastic RSI. It all depends on what chart you're looking at. On Coinbase, there hasn't, but that's because this is a green candlestick right here. On Bitfinex, there has. That goes to show you how much variety in between charts can actually matter to your technical analysis. But the point I'm trying to make here is that the technicals are not looking very bullish for Bitcoin. The stochastic RSI has crossed bearish, or it is looking like it'll be crossing bearish in the next couple of weeks. And normally when that happens, you see a major downtrend in Bitcoin. Not a minor downtrend in Bitcoin, a major downtrend in Bitcoin. We're not talking about something small here. Now, I want to be very careful with my terminology here. What I mean by that is that I think that Bitcoin's more than likely going to be moving down by maybe up to 10%. I'm looking for Bitcoin to come all the way down here to this uptrend of support right here. This one right here. I expect that Bitcoin will be coming down and testing that if Bitcoin breaks bearish. It's not very far away, and it is also one of the most likely levels of support that Bitcoin would test. Of course, I have these two horizontal levels of support here on the chart that I also think Bitcoin will be respecting, but I do think that inevitably, if Bitcoin does break bearish, as I think it will, it's going to come down here and test this uptrend of support, and then from there, we'll talk about whether or not Bitcoin will break it or bounce from it. We've been discussing that scenario for 2 months now, and I think it is eventually going to come to pass, and we are going to have to deal with it as Bitcoin goes ahead and breaks bearish in accordance with the technical analysis that we've been looking at. And I think that is going to happen. Tell me in the comment section down below, guys, what you think is going to happen as well. Is Bitcoin going to be able to break bearish, or is it going to break bearish and move to the downside, or is Bitcoin going to continue moving to the upside and start smashing these levels of resistance? Is Bitcoin going to be bullish from here on out? I'm interested to hear your opinions. Let me show you one more thing, though, to wrap the video up. That would have to do with the 20 weekly exponential moving average, the 20 weekly simple moving average right here. I've talked about this moving average several times on the channel. Several times is an understatement. I talk about the 20 exponential and simple moving average a lot and have been for over a year now. But these are very powerful moving averages, and they're very powerful for a reason. And one of the reasons is because they're short term, but they're not so short term that they're irrelevant. On the weekly chart, they're important. On the daily chart, they're relevant, etc. They're relevant on many different time frames, and they tend to be relevant on the weekly as well. And what we've seen is that Bitcoin has come up here and broken this level of resistance. Bitcoin has broken through the 20 weekly exponential moving average, the simple moving average. But what we'll find, that's this moving average right here. I'll go ahead and turn the other ones off for you so that you can see this a little bit better. I'll leave the 200 on because I may talk about that before we wrap the video up. But this 20 simple moving average, as you can see here, Bitcoin has only gotten above it twice in this entire bear market, ever since Bitcoin hit $20,000 and started retracing. Bitcoin came up here and tested that and broke through it twice, and it didn't stay above that level for very long. For the duration of the 2017 bull market, Bitcoin used it as a very strong level of support. We have to go into the Bitfinex chart to get more accurate data going back this far, but Bitcoin was able to stay above this level for quite some time. And if we look back here to 2015, when Bitcoin actually managed to break this and stay above it, that was the beginning of the bull market. And Bitcoin wouldn't go back below it until the next bear market. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but Bitcoin certainly doesn't look like it's in any position to be starting a bull market right now. So let me tell you what I think this is. I think this is Bitcoin getting above the 20 exponential moving average, and the 20 simple moving average. And as we've seen in these two scenarios, when Bitcoin does that, since we're not starting a bull market right now, at least I don't think we are. I don't think we're ready for it. Since that is the case, we're probably going to be following through with what these two markets did and staying above it for a couple of weeks at most and then falling back below it. I really don't like being the bearer of bad news on Bitcoin. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin in the long term being 3, 6 months, 9 months, the next year. But the next couple of weeks, guys, I don't see a lot of bullishness for Bitcoin. Is it possible that Bitcoin breaks bullish? Of course, guys, it always is. Bitcoin very easily can, not very easily, but it very much certainly can break bullish. I just don't think it's going to, based on the technical indicators that we have at our fingertips. And it really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for Bitcoin to go start breaking bullish and breaking levels of resistance between $4,100, $4,200, $4,500. It just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. It'd be out of character for Bitcoin to do that at the moment, based on the technicals, based on the market structure, and based on everything that we know about the market, for Bitcoin to do that at the moment. So tell me in the comment section down below, guys, what you think Bitcoin is going to do. Do you think Bitcoin's going to break bullish? Do you think Bitcoin's going to break bearish? I'm interested, as always, to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. And guys, my voice is starting to give out once more, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up. But I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, as always. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.